A good practice today. Energy was high, execution was really good. Leverage and things was good on defense. Offense had good angles on blocks. I was very pleased the offensive line come back and responded with a very good day in blitz and on our team run and against the defense and different things. But defense had a good day, kicked the ball very well. EJ threw it and we caught it. It was a really sharp day. Really liked the way we practiced. Had good intentions. As far as the way our mind, our focus throughout practice was really good. Questions?
We talked yesterday about switching things up at punt return.
There's still the same guys are back. Rashad's back there, Kenny Shaw's back there, One's back there. We're repping all of them and doing different things and creating situations for them. And we'll just keep giving them reps.
Are Kenny and Rashad doing anything differently as far as?
No, I mean just catching it. That's a little different at times. That's a little differently at times.
Step in the right direction. Okay.
And so isn't one. He's doing a good job. He was catching it. So that was a good thing too. But I think some of it is, it's not as much always catching as decision making. Getting your body there in position to make it and not letting clutter. In other words, worry about this, worry about the guy coming at you and this. If I got a fair catch I got to catch it. I mean, and don't worry about trying to make a big play. You know what I'm saying? I think decision making is one of the things we've really harped on too and reinforced and went back to the fundamentals, which we have, but just going back to step one of how you get there, why you're there, you know what I mean, and teaching to make better decisions.
Do you think you'll put two guys back there on Saturday?
Oh, I don't know that. I mean, I meant they were just repping, not two at once. We're just getting reps for them.
How's James Wilder doing?
Fine. Full practice. Bang, knocked around, everything. He was good. He was good. He was good.
Just noticed he was wearing the
well, we do with the backs. We do that a lot. We do safeties, backs, linebackers. A lot of those guys that take pounding. Just there's no sense to pound them during the week. You know what I mean? Those guys, especially the more physical guys. For instance, I used to have a guy named LeBrandon Tofield. He ended up playing the Jaguars a long time at LSU. I won't let anybody touch him. I'd take it off on Thursday, and we weren't hitting on Thursday.
Yeah.
he was so physical during the week. But some of those more physical guys, you got to let their bodies heal. You know what I'm saying? And so to keep the reps, and just to remind guys, that's just a reminder for scout team guys, and when we do good on good, for those guys not to. But we thud everybody, you know, if we're doing that, we're not to thud some of those guys.
Does the one film of this quarterback Petty, the 31, does this one film tell you anything?
No, well, yeah, I mean, you see some athleticism, capabilities, and what he's doing, but it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of unknown in one film. I mean, you don't know what he can and really can't do as far as what they've asked him to do, but there's still probably some things he can do that we haven't seen.
Coach, yesterday in your press conference, you talked about the BCS,
mm-hmm.
And there's perception around, you're making, a talk about your team specifically.
No, this isn't. The thing I was talking about the BCS had nothing to do with Florida State. I mean, and it made the awareness because as Kerwin was asking me, he said, and I said, well, how does it? I mean, as I started looking at, it, he said, no, you get this ranking, you get this ranking, then these computer rankings. And I looked and I said, well, how can you be 6, 18, 21 or 12, not ranked, and then you got a team that's 5 and 4, ranked 14th and 15th, and I'm just throwing it. I mean, so I said, how? I mean, what I'm asking for, whether it's not a Florida State thing, it's a college football thing. What my point was, what's the consistency level? That's like a teacher, like I said the other day. One teacher says you made an A on that paper, one says you made an F. I mean, you can't. To me, there can't be a discrepancy of a computer saying one says you're 6th and one says you're 33rd. That's the part I don't understand, and that's the whole point I was making. It's not a Florida State thing. We could be whoever. I mean, like I said, the one-loss teams, Alabama, Georgia, they're all great teams. That's not the point. I'm just trying to figure out the discrepancy of how one can have you here and one can have you all the way down there. And how many computers are we using? I mean, and what goes on? I say the human element of it. That was my whole take on the BCS. It's not just a Florida State thing.
Remember when losses mattered?
Yeah.
When the more losses you had,
and later went later in the year.
Yeah.
No, I respected. They say, okay, but who? I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. My thing is, all right, if we're 6th in this one, you shouldn't be no lower than 8th or 10th in another one.
Right, not 30th.
Or if you are 30th, then why are you 6th in this one? I mean, what is the formula? I think that's what we got to look at before we run a good game. That's my whole point. As a coaching fraternity, whatever it is, I think it's a scary deal.
Is it a situation where you think more coaches are going to start coming out?
I don't know. You just asked me, and that's the first time I really ever studied it. I mean, you kind of knew, and because you're at the hands of what you got anyway, how you got to win. And I really started looking at it the last couple of weeks, and Kerwin brought it to my attention, I think it's wrong. Now, whether people agree or disagree, we'll find out. And I don't know if we'll speak out, but I don't understand. Explain to me why there's such a discrepancy. That's as good as I'm asking. I mean, and what the problem is, no one can. that's the interesting. I mean, so we can do something else, or whatever. I don't know.
When you look at ACC games, everyone matters towards the championship. But now you know if you win, you're in, and if you don't, you know you're possibly out. Is there any different mentality this time around?
No, you can't be, because I can say every one of them counts 1 win, 1 loss. It's just it has the same value as the games earlier. I mean, it has the same value. It's not more valuable. It's just at the time it is. So you have to play the game. And that's what I think you get in trouble when you get caught up. Oh, I got to win a championship. Oh, I got to do. No, I got to play well. If I play well and do the things I do, then I get the things I want. And I think that's where our focus has to be.
What would that mean, though, a division title?
Well, I mean, I think it's a great accomplishment. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's one of our goals.
Right.
It's one of the things we go to take the next step to climb the program to where we want to go, and to have a chance for your conference championship, because that's the first objective in which you have to have. And I think it's a huge step. I mean, as far as where we're going and what we're doing and the consistency in which we're showing and learning to win and develop our program.
How well is Tank playing right now?
Tank Carradine?
Yeah.
Really good. Really good. I mean, he has some mistakes here and there that, some folks don't see, but he makes up with it with tenacity and effort and, just ability. I mean, he's doing a great job.
Motor?
Oh, yeah. I mean, his effort, is ridiculous. I mean, he's got a motor. There's not many guys on our defense. There's not many guys on our football team. And I mean that. There's not, we don't, when you check off and we see Los, I mean, you press a guy, that's something we take a lot of pride in as an organization. There's not a lot of guys on our football team, period, that Los. But Tank's got a motor now.
Kind of abnormal for a defensive end to be second on the team in tackles?
Not necessarily, because you got to think, we're getting so many tackles, they're dominating so much. You know what I'm saying? There's not as many balls down the field. You're getting the way we're turning him loose. And see, some guys you turn loose, other guys play within a team. We're letting him be freelance a little bit. Not freelance, I guess is a bad word, but take off and try to use that athleticism and take some other guys and fill some gaps and do some things to let him go. So, but I guess it is a little unusual, but the way we're using him, I kind of expect it in a weird way.
And how much does it help to have Bjorn? I mean, Bjorn's always going to get attention on
Let me
that
tell you
other
something.
side.
Now, that guy, even though you may look at numbers and say, okay, that was there, but how good a football player he is, it's ridiculous. And both of them, but Bjorn they're both phenomenal football players.
Does every offense, you can tell, goes after 95 to make sure
No,
he doesn't impact the
I don't
game?
think so. They worry about 91 too.
Right.
And the other guys. I mean, they know, and the Blisses, they do. But sometimes how we use things, and Bjorn can stand up a lot of times and drop and move around and do some different things. And he has that kind of which we did with Brandon Jenkins a year ago, which is why a lot of the pro guys end up loving him so much more, because he had that versatility,
Speaking of defensive ends who are up there in tackles, Joe Milano there in Maryland.
Oh, 72 is a great player.
Yeah,
72, 96, the backer. Unfortunately, that one backer for them got hurt. Hartsfield got hurt, but they got 6. It was good to see him back, because I think he got hurt a year or two ago with the knee, I believe. He was a really good player, big, long, athletic player. They're all good football players. They got a very good defense.
What kind of challenge is he? Or just
Powerful and physical and plays. I mean, and them, you got the 97 and 96 are both 305, 10 pounds, 6'4", 6'5", look like our guys. I mean, you see them on, I was watching the Clemson game, and they were running a power play, and the tackle come off. Trick said, man, they should have stayed double team. That guard came off. I said, no, he didn't. 96 took him and threw him off. I mean, the guy was strong and powerful. You know what I mean? I mean, they're a physical football team. Very physical.
Defensively, the best one you've seen so far, probably?
I don't know. I mean, to say it's better, they're one of the best ones. I mean, I'm not going – it's hard to play somebody, but on film, they're as impressive as anybody we've seen.
Right.
You remember playing a noon road game? It seems like it's been a while, right?
Yeah, probably has. We've had a noon home game. We've had a noon home game.
Yeah.
But
what's different, about that?
Nothing. You just have to prepare yourself mentally to – we did last –
I'm just saying, there's been 3 or 4 in a row that have been night games.
Wake was last year.
Wake and Clemson.
Right. You just got to prepare yourself mentally to understand that you got to get that day started early, and you got to get up and get your motor going and do it. But we practice like that so much a lot around here, and we've done that. So I expect we'll be able to do it. But it is. You got to mentally be ready to do it.
James Winston, all right? I haven't seen him out of the last
Sick.
couple days.
He got crud and the flu and temperature and sore throat and the whole gamut. The typical this time of year. It kind of goes through our team. There's been a guy or two about every day here and there. You know what I mean? It's just kind of passing through the team.
A lot's been made out of all the quarterbacks that Maryland's had to go through. How much do you keep an eye on those guys behind you? Obviously, you've been lucky enough that he hasn't.
Oh, a
missed
bunch.
any
We
time,
do,
but-
and that's why in individual drills we work them and make sure they're getting their time. And I even watch some of the scout team film on the other side to watch those guys and hear our guys talk about. They're blessed because they said they got a lot of guys over there giving good looks. Sometimes that's the thing you can't see, man. When a guy doesn't have arm talent, you're you're going to play against. And these guys, all of our young freshmen, and those guys can swing. So we're doing a nice job.
How much, I mean, obviously, it's a ways away before you have to really think about which one of them steps into a starting job, and how much of what you see out here now plays into that decision down the road?
I think it does for their confidence. I think it does for their bonding of their teammates and the opinion their teammates make and the leadership they show. And I think it's very important for them to show that even though I'm not the guy, I'm willing to go out here and do whatever this team needs to do, because I'm going to ask some other people to do it later on. I think part of this, I think it's good for quarterbacks, especially highly, those guys recruited, and like all of our guys have been really highly recruited, to go out here and understand that they can be a team player. I think when you go lead a team, you can't always be a chief. There's a part you have to be an Indian, and they have to understand that. And then when you are the chief, they'll follow you better.